We all heard about the tragic end of the last days of Hitler, the leader of Nazi regime. But what really happened to the Nazi Germany regime after Hitler's death? In the final days of World War II and the fall of Nazi Germany, there was a significant degree of chaos, fear, and desperation among the German people. The combined impact of the vast, devastating effect, the advance of Allied forces, and the realization of the extent of Nazis' atrocities could have contributed to the climate of despair during the final days of Nazi Germany and the war in Europe. Many civilians, government officials, and military personnel throughout Germany and German-occupied Europe committed suicide rather than accepted the defeat of Germany. In May 1945, after 1,000 people killed themselves before and after the entry of Red Army to the German town of Demmin. In Berlin alone, more than 7,000 suicides were reported in 1945. The deputy mayor of Leipzig and his wife and daughter committed suicide. The news rejoiced as American troops were entering the city on 28 April 1945. There were several reasons some Germans decided to end their lives in the last months of the war. By 1945, Nazi propaganda had created a fear among some sections of the population about the impending military elimination of the country by the Soviets or Western allies. Many Nazis had been indoctrinated in unquestioning loyalty to the party and with its cultural ideology of preferring death over living in defeat. Finally, others killed themselves because they knew what would happen to them after defeat. The Soviets, Americans, and British had made it clear in 1943 with the Moscow Declaration that all those considered war criminals would face judgment. Many party officials and military personnel were therefore aware that they would face severe punishments for their conduct during the war. The first phase began in early January 1945 when Soviet forces drove Germany to its territories in East Prussia and Silesia. The second phase occurred in April and May when numerous Nazi parties, officials, and senior military personnel committed suicide. Suicide levels reached their maximum in Berlin in April 1945 when 3,881 people killed themselves during the Battle of Berlin. It was in this phase that Adolf Hitler and Joseph Goebbels took their lives along with their respective wives. Magda Goebbels also killed her children by giving them crushed cyanide tablets at the same time. The final phase occurred after the takeover of Germany by the Allies, primarily in the territories occupied by the Red Army, often in response to widespread rape and looting by Soviet soldiers. In March 1945, as a part of Operation Periwick, the British printed a German-language black propaganda postcard supposedly issued by the fictitious anti-Nazi Red Horse resistance movement and giving detailed instructions on how to hang oneself with the minimum amount of pain. The professed goal of this group was the execution of high-ranking Nazi functionaries. In order to draw more attention to this goal among the German population, agents were commissioned to place this red horse symbol on various buildings or objects, while postcards were sent to prominent Germans containing threatening text showing the red horse symbol. When the recipients are asked to commit suicide, the hidden meaning was this was more honorable than being liquidated by the resistance group. When it became apparent that the Nazis are about to lose the war, Germany's leaders, including Joseph Goebbels and Hitler, spoke publicly in favor of suicide as an option. Hitler declared on 30th August 1944 during a military briefing that it is only a fraction of a second that one is relieved of everything and finds tranquility and eternal peace. Many supporters of Nazi ideology and party shared message of National Socialism and looked forward ending their lives. Years of exposure to Nazi propaganda also led many Germans to assume that suicide was the only way out. Silent capsules were one of the most common ways that people killed themselves in the last days of the war. On 12th April 1945, members of the Hitler Youth distributed cyanide pills to audience members during the last concert of the Berlin Philharmonic. Prior to his own suicide in the Fuhrer bunker, Hitler ensured all his staffs had been given poison capsules. Many prominent Nazis, Nazi followers, and members of the armed forces committed suicide during the last days of the war. Others killed themselves after being captured by the Allied forces. The list includes 8 NSDAP regional leaders who held office between 1926 and 1945, 7 higher SS and police leaders, 53 army generals, 11 admirals in the Kriegsmarine, and an unknown number of junior officials. The last days of the Nazi regime were marked by chaos, desperation, and inevitable collapse of the regime that had plunged the world into one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. Despite many number of suicides, on the other hand, thousands of Nazi officers, high-ranking party members, and collaborators, including many notorious war criminals, escaped across the Atlantic, finding refuge in South America, particularly in Argentina, Chile, and Brazil. I will talk about this in the next part of this video. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe my channel for more videos. Thank you.